Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Biz Talk for TikTok podcast. I'm really excited about this episode because we've talked about it so many times and before about how is TikTok all about teens, kids dancing. And you know what? Maybe before, but right now where things are going with the quarantine and COVID and everything is really spiked up some numbers. I'm going to share some statistics in a bit about what those look like. But on the show, I have two really amazing people that are come from another podcast that's all about TikTok. It's called the Too Old for TikTok podcast, and the hosts we have today on the show are here. They are. We got Melissa and Dina from the Too Old for TikTok podcast. I'm really pumped to have them on to talk all about their TikTok journey and how they started their podcast, and also give us some more insight and credibility that TikTok is not all about kids and dancing. So, Melissa, Dina, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
This is going to be fun. So, before we kind of dive more into TikTok and all those things, I really have to know the journey on how both of you decided, hey, let's launch a podcast about, are we too old or being too old for TikTok? Tell us more.
Yeah, so my TikTok journey started in December 2019. So this was before the quarantine. I had a friend whose sister was in college, so much younger. I'm 33. So, not my demographic at that time. And when I downloaded it, I was on TikTok for 4 hours. I stayed up till 4 a.m. And it was the first time I was inspired to actually create content too. Like, I'm not a big social media person. I really missed the Instagram bandwagon. I had never posted, and I said, there's something really special here. Mm-hmm. And at that point, none of my friends were on. So I was the annoying friend trying to get them all on, sending them videos, and they were like, can you please stop? And then I will say the one amazing thing about the pandemic, if there was a silver lining, is more people from our demographic joined TikTok just out of sheer, and then they realized it wasn't all for kids. And then I had some luck creating content on the app. I kind of figured out, how amazing it was that complete unknowns could just be discovered and have viral videos. So that kind of launched into me wanting to talk to more people about TikTok and just getting more information, talking about trends. And luckily, Melissa, who was the first friend I convinced to join TikTok, became equally as obsessed as I did. And we started the Too Old for TikTok podcast.
That's so fun. I mean, okay, so this was 2019, you said?
That I joined TikTok, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. I literally joined TikTok when it merged from Musical.ly to TikTok back in August of 2018.
Wow.
And it was a complete different experience at that time. I mean, the app literally was, and the funny thing is dancing wasn't even a thing at that time either. It was all lip syncing, like just lip syncing and doing the fun trends to the sounds. And it wasn't really until the end of August, the end of 2018 where dancing just started becoming more of a thing, where people were sharing more of their talents on there and teens were able to do all those things. So and that's when, a lot more talk became starting into 2019. People and teens started using it. When I was using it, it's because my daughter, she's 20 years old now at the time, but even they as teens were almost embarrassed to say they were on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Which is funny. I don't know if you remember those phases, but my daughter was like, I joined it as a joke. Like, I thought it would just be and she was almost embarrassed to say I was on that, that platform. And now everyone's like, it's a flex. Like, hey, I'm on TikTok now. What are you guys doing? So that's a really fun, interesting background there. Melissa, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because that was my view of TikTok, right? I was like, it's a bunch of like, why am I going to watch a bunch of kids dancing? That's right. Not interesting to me. And Dina kept trying and trying. Quarantine hit. I was bored enough. I said, all right, let me give this a try. My first introduction to TikTok, new user, I opened the app and it was all dancing, and it was people who were a lot younger than me. And
Mhm.
I remember feeling weird. I was like, I feel like I'm in somebody's living room watching them rehearse a dance. Like, this is super strange.
Right.
But more and more, like, they started curating my content. The algorithm started understanding who I was
Mhm.
and my
Mhm.
age and my interests. Dina started sending me more and more videos. And then I became obsessed with it as far as just like content creation goes. I think
Mhm.
this is the coolest thing. Like, both Dina and I have a background. We met in college. We both studied film. Prior to that, we were like the weirdos in high school, like making movies, on our weekends. Like, we always loved creating stuff. And so this just really captured my heart as like a teenager who loved just creating little silly stories. This is what it
Right.
was. And it's awesome. People can create stories. They can just talk to the camera and say something funny. They create whole new worlds on TikTok. They can use the filters. I mean, it gives you every editing capability you could want on your phone. And it is just such an amazing tool for storytelling. That's where I got into it. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. These people are taking 60 seconds and completely capturing my attention and making me fall into love with what they're doing. So I was
Yeah,
hooked from there.
absolutely. I feel like what TikTok has changed the game, not only just like as a platform, but just the culture. So my last guest I had on my podcast that's actually going to be released next week is he talked about that there's like multiple languages out there, right? English, Spanish, and everything like that. But TikTok as a culture has its own language now that a lot of people don't understand, right? So once you kind of get to know it and you learn that culture, it doesn't matter how old you are, you realize that this is a fun place to just be able to curate content in a way that is not like before on Instagram, YouTube, and you kind of had to curate content based off of what works for that platform. So meaning like on YouTube, the higher polish, the more production, the more lighting, like the better studio quality you have, that's going to be the best way to go about that. On Instagram, it's like the picture perfect life, putting those best photos and like quotes and like trying to look so like, it's really fake. But on TikTok, it's just about being a human and sharing it in a fun way, like natively with your community. It's just so powerful, and I think that is why the culture is emerging and changing into like shifting. And the funny thing is everybody's starting to catch up and realizing creator culture now is the future for the world, and like advertisers are starting to catch up, being like, oh, we got to change our way our advertising is, because this is how the world wants everything like that. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, it's funny. I will say for the first time, I'm seeing some ads on TikTok that I don't know are ads, which is
Yes.
huge. I mean, for
Right.
somebody who I've studied advertising, I've studied media, like I can tell when I'm watching an ad, but it's really interesting because, like you're saying, these people are just, it's so authentic what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
that it takes me sometimes a few seconds in to realize, oh, this is sponsored. Oh, okay, weird, because it's so just innate to the type of content they're creating anyway.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's so powerful. Like if your ad can fit natively within the culture of TikTok, for one, go to the comment section and you will see like all the comments are like, this was the best ad I've ever seen. Make
Right.
more of these. I'm actually engaged. I just purchased
Yeah.
this product because of how good this ad was. Like to me right there, that's like if I was an advertiser sitting there reading that, I would be all over this because for one, a great example is Call Me Chris. You probably have heard of Call Me Chris, right? She does a lot of advertising for Vessies for the shoes, and her ads for that particular shoe company are just so good that it's Vessies is starting to become part of the culture. Like meaning people talk about it like, hey, don't want to get your shoes wet at the water park, you should wear some Vessies. Like people are starting to create that into their talk, like their culture talk. And that is so powerful. So when you can connect your audience to something authentic and engaging and make your ad fit within the culture, now that is part of the language, and that's huge.
Yeah, something else I love is when it's not even an ad, it's when it's a genuine person who just loves a product and wants to help
Oh,
other people. I saw the other day, I was scrolling through my For You page, and someone was talking about an ingrown hair treatment, and it had like 1 million views, and then all the comments were, it's sold out now. Like, so, and
yes.
it wasn't an ad, but, this company should be super thankful to just some random person who's like, if you have this problem, this is the
Yeah.
product to use. And so we saw that also with cranberry juice, with Ocean
Oh,
Spray
gosh.
selling out and things like that. It's just so native to like you said, the culture of TikTok and products.
Absolutely. I think that I see that more than like in the ad spaces, people creating authentically. And what I love too is like ingrown hair. The
Right.
funny thing is like what I love is people are just so open and
Yeah,
honest on there. Like
exactly.
they will talk about
Right.
Anything.
bodily functions, like funny things that we just like deal with as humans that before was like, no, that's embarrassing. Let's not talk about this.
Mhm.
And now they're like, yeah, you got an ingrown hair. Like you should use this. Like,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
I love that though. And then people, because we're human beings, the reason why it's sold out is because as humans, we all deal with those issues. And when it's just like something fun and you feel like you're sharing something vulnerable, people relate to that,
Mhm.
So it's just so cool. I mean, TikTok culture is just, it's so powerful. So powerful. Yeah. So, okay. So you both came to TikTok and then you were like, let's start a podcast. How'd that happen?
Yeah,
It
I
was.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I think, yeah, we were in quarantine. So we started July 2020, and we both have jobs, but we wanted to be creative, and we did spend most of our time sending each other TikToks and talking about it. And I listen to podcasts that are about, TV and film as well. So it's like, why not make a podcast that talks about the content on TikTok? And then it was also a way for us to kind of dive deeper in it. And then we found some great creators to speak to. So it's just been a really great way to get to know people and to dive deeper in TikTok.
Yeah. And when was your first podcast launch? Like when did you guys kick this off?
So it was I believe July 12th, 2020, sometime in the beginning of July. Yeah. So it's been a year now.
Just
Yeah.
hit a year. Yeah.
Wow. And how many episodes do you have now?
57. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats. What's interesting is I think that this podcast might be my 57th. Like when this one goes live as a
That's awesome.
podcast. Yeah,
Oh
which
my
is
gosh.
kind of interesting timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first started it, there was a lot of people on the platform that were not in your demographic still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely still felt like, Dina had hooked me, so she got one, but we were then still trying to convince the rest of our friend group to get in on this, to keep watching it. And I, would go off on long tirades of how there's art being created on TikTok. This is a real art form. You guys need to check it out. And so finally we were like, all right, there's got to be other people out there like us. They're not in our friend group. Don't worry, we eventually got all our friends to get on TikTok. But at the time, we found the podcast was a great way to connect with people. And even more so, we started to find popular creators on TikTok, who were posting content about how they felt too old for TikTok. I mean, there was that whole trend of like millennials on TikTok, right?
Yes.
So we were like, all right, we just want to be talking to those people. We want to chat to them. We want to hear what their experience is like. So we interviewed a lot of them, and it was so fun to just hear, we have similar For You pages, we're seeing similar content, and we're on a completely different side of TikTok than wherever the dancers are,
100%.
So it was fun to find, in the same way that being on TikTok has been fun to connect with people and relate to people that I didn't know. The podcast has done the same thing to us, where we've been meeting people and connecting with people who are into this strange world as much as we are.
For sure. The funny thing is, a lot of my guests that I had on as well, most of them mentioned when I ask them about their TikTok journey, they said in the beginning, their friends and family were like, "What are you doing on that space?" Like they were making fun of my guest, saying, "Why are you talking about your business or anything in that space? That's just creepy. That's cringy. Like, don't." And they're grateful now that they didn't listen to those people. And I think, that's a really valuable lesson as well. Like, if you feel comfortable on a space, regardless, we've seen this with all platforms. When Facebook first started, it was geared for college students, right? And now it's like the place to be for everybody. Like brands are constantly, creating pages for their businesses, and there's a lot of selling and ads in that space. But when it first started, it was for kids. So there's a lot of people that are innovative, thinking like, you know what, I'm going to get in this space now, because if it's gearing up, it's going to be the next wave. So I wanted to share a statistic as well that goes along with that, because this is very interesting. So, Statista they do a lot of stats and statistics and everything like that. So the TikTok demographic, interesting enough, in 2020, 62% of the TikTok users were aged between 10 and 29. So that's where a lot of brands and businesses were like, oh, our demographic's not there. We're looking for people in their 30s, blah, blah, blah. Well, as of March of 2021, when this whole pandemic really kicked off, teenagers only counted for 20% of the entire app, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
So when people are talking now, are you too old for TikTok? The answer is not even close. Like, the teens are now, it's reversed. The correct demographic is here. And the problem is that advertisers and brands are still trying to catch up to this trend now, which is funny.
Yeah.
So,
it's so true. You mentioned like, it's funny that we both are on the same timeline with our podcast, because I do feel like about a year ago was the time where we were like, there's something happening on TikTok. Like, this is bigger than just a silly little social platform. So I feel like it was probably around that same time too, you were beginning to realize like, there's business opportunities here, there's advertising opportunities here. Like, yeah, I think that was when it really started to prove itself. And it was like, we want to get in on the ground floor of whatever this is about to become.
Right. And it's still, so like, as far as in terms of content creation, I feel like it's starting to like, it's a little bit harder to be seen and things like that. But as far as like advertising and brands and marketers say, I think that's still on the ground floor in terms of where it's going. So, I mean, it's crazy. So like, there's so much opportunity still in this space. Where do you think, where do you feel the future lies with TikTok?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, definitely since we've joined, I'm seeing way more monetization. It used to not be that you would open the app and you had to look in an ad first. There weren't ads every few videos. So I am seeing it move towards, like you said, Facebook's a great example, Instagram's a great example. We've seen this happen again and again with these platforms where they move to monetization. What I hope, though, is that at its core, TikTok remembers what makes it so great. There's been a lot of talk. I don't know if you saw recently, I think Wall Street Journal did an article on like the TikTok algorithm and like how it works and how it gets you. And I saw a TikToker actually respond to that saying it's simpler than this. Like, the biggest deal on TikTok is people are creating their own content. Facebook, Instagram, it's way more voyeuristic. People are just watching other people. You're following celebrities, maybe. But on TikTok, it's just real people. Most people are creating their own content, silly little things. They're taking videos in their cars, no budget. I think that's what makes TikTok so different. And I hope as long as they just continue to lean into that, like, I would love to see ads by content creators on TikTok more so than just like, here's a Marvel movie preview, because it doesn't feel right. But I love the authentic stuff that's coming out of there. I understand the need to monetize, and I'm happy to support these creators.
Right.
I think as long as they keep it authentic to the platform, then it could really have a big future.
Absolutely. I think, you hit a lot of nails on the head there. And I think I personally believe TikTok will will go in the right direction, meaning every platform, right? They're designed to make money, and the AdSense and space and stuff is what drives value for a platform, right? So there's going to be, but luckily, TikTok has that slogan of "Don't make ads, make TikToks," and that is something that I know that they're really, really, really powerful on. They're constantly educating the market space with businesses and brands and saying, stop. Like, you cannot use your traditional marketing efforts from these other platforms. You have to create culture. Like, it has to be culture driven. So meaning, you have to figure out a way that is going to look seamless. So that way, when your ad is displayed, it looks just like a video that people will want to watch. And then it doesn't make it doesn't make TikTok look too ad-like. It's fine. Your ad fits here if it looks like the culture. It's totally gonna flow. People are not gonna be mad about it. And I love what you said about curating and using creators to help with ads. And my background is I work for a really large agency. I'm the head of talent. We work with creators like Michael Lee, who's just Mako on the app. We exclusively represent Spencer X. And then we also, we work with like families like the Schlove family, the Tolliver family. And I am now gearing a whole home and garden space as well, working with people in the trades community, which is really, really interesting as well. So what we see is advertisers are upping their influencer marketing, meaning they realize, oh, wow, we're really crap at being creative, like targeting this style of content. So how can we do best work with it? Well, let's work with creators who know how good and how things need to work within the culture, And so I think we're just going to continuously see that more and more and more. And that wave of advertising is really going to just increase like for years to come.
Yeah, what I love is that TikTok is really shifting everything towards the creator. And I think, Instagram just announced they're giving $1 billion away to creators now because they want to up their Reels game. So this all started because of TikTok, because it's so focused on the creator or on the influencer. And like you said, brands realize they need to work with influencers to get their product out there in an authentic way. And I think TikTok was responsible for that. And I think it's responsible for making that happen really fast. So what I love is that it really has become a creator's world in a way where if you want to create content and, and be authentic, then there is a way to make money. And that's great. If that's, you're passionate in what you want to do, there's just so much opportunity out there.
Yeah. There's a saying like where people say like, advertisers go to Hollywood. So like where before creators and content creators and everybody would go to places like Hollywood and try to make it in the industry. And now there's a saying, Hollywood's coming to the creative, because even they come to where you are. It doesn't matter where you are globally in the world, which I love. So you can be a creator in these small towns and make it and be seen and be noticed. And the driving force is the communities around you is like what creates who you're going to be. So you don't need to be in these places. And we're seeing that so much of content creators now leaving Hollywood, meaning like a lot of them went there, even TikTokers, to create these houses and everything. And a lot of them are now like moving out and realizing, hey, for one, there's better tax advantages in these other states. And my community follows me regardless of where I live.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's so cool. And I love that culture. And the fun, like it's happening now. Like it's already happening. And there's still so many people thinking like, where's digital media going? Well, it's here. So we have to, shift our gears. And so if you're an agency worker, brand business, or anything listening in, like, the time is now to start investing in figuring out what this looks like. Like you should have been thinking about this last year, to be honest, but it's not too late to start thinking about it. And today's the day. So
yeah.
I'd love to, because your podcast, which I love, is really geared on talking about fun things that are happening on the platform, like with trends and things like that. Like, what are some of your favorite trends that you've been seeing recently?
My favorite one right now, I've been seeing a lot of that blue and red filter.
Yes.
And it's like, so the filter, it like whenever you blink, it changes colors. And the red color gives you a girl face with full makeup. And the blue color gives you a man's face with a beard and whatever man features. So it's really fun to see how creators have sort of used the parameters of this filter. It's almost like an improv game. Like they're using those parameters to figure out what creative content can I make with this. I saw one where a girl recreated one of the songs from Hamilton, and it was just so perfect. Like every time she blinked, she would do Lin-Manuel Miranda's lines. When she blinked, she would do the girls' lines. It was like one of the coolest things to watch. I loved it.
You know what's funny about that particular trend, that filter, you know, exactly is before that filter, people were using that trend with their actual LED lights. So for instance, my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, came upstairs with like I believe it's green. Yeah. Green marker all over her face like a beard. I was like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, you gotta watch this TikTok I made, because when the red light was on in her LED, because all the teens just have LEDs, like you can tell a teen lives at a house when their room is glowing from the outside. Like I have two, both sides of my house just glow like different colors. But like I was like, what are you doing? So when it's red, you can't see the green. And then when it's blue, it highlights it like to make it look black. So the kids were doing that before. So whoever created the filter, like TikTok, obviously saw, wow, this is something really powerful. Let's create a filter around this so people don't have to draw on their face, and more people in the community can join in and create within this. That the app continuously is just pays attention to the creators. Totally. Right? That's so fun.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I do love that trend. What about you, Dina? What's some of yours?
There's a great new filter that does the photo cropping. So basically you have to kind of place yourself within the crop, or otherwise it doesn't freeze when you're in the right frame. I just saw one of our favorite creators, Michael Burke, did a really funny one with his dog. And, you know, every creator seems to be doing it, because first, like when it freezes on the right frame, there's just such funny content that you could get. So I'm definitely loving that one.
It's a workout too.
Have you
tried it?
I haven't, no.
I did, and me and my wife tried it like many times, and we tried it on 0.03, which is like fast forward, right? Yeah. Like, and then when you play it back, it's slow-mo. But if you try it on that, it is like the box is like crazy. So we tried it, and it was really funny. And we tried to create our own little trend, like, hey, try it in this, but you know, it didn't work. We actually got featured on TikTok's page when we jumped in the trend where that line was going down. Was it warp?
Oh yeah, that's a great trend. Yeah.
TikTok featured us. We did one where I looked like I was holding like a play knife and like a play sword, and it looked like I was holding her head in a bowl. So we tried that, and you know, we got featured, and people still tag me, because obviously like Facebook is really delayed with certain things as well. So like some of my friends that have not converted still, or like some of my older family members, they're like, I saw you in this Facebook video, this compilation. And I'm like, yeah, that was actually like months ago. You should join the app so you can be up to date and not look like an old schooler, like coming and seeing this stuff late. But it's so funny. I do love how creative, and you know, you mentioned something great on creators being involved, and what I love, and I work with like kind of like brands who are personal brands, so they're people who are looking to like move their brand and be noticed more. And I always say, you know, you really should add trends into your content creation. Like it's really important to not only like represent who you are and do original content, but being involved with the trends shows that you understand the culture, and it just makes it more fun. And people like to see those things. Like there's a really good trend that I like, is I forget the song. It says something about like born in, the song says born in, and then people are showing a picture of like what they used to look like and then now. You know, so sometimes it's kids, or when they were like, if they like felt like they were a little bit ugly back when they were kids, and showing their new like where they are now. And I mean, that's just a great one that brands or like personal people like can use to just show a little new side to them in a fun way that, you know, and people find it very interesting. You learn a lot about somebody that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that trend. And I think even brands are doing it. So a really good
Right.
brand on TikTok I like is Sour Patch Kids. They
Oh,
do all the food trend and they just make them with Sour Patch Kids. And some of them
mhm.
are really funny. Like pasta chips was trending on TikTok. So
Oh
they
my
did
gosh, yes.
Sour Patch Kid chips, you know, the same way. And it's so great because it shows whoever's running that account really knows TikTok and
Yes.
it's natively racking up, you know, millions of views and followers.
Mhm. I mean, Ryanair is another example of you seen them. They're an airline company,
Oh, Ryanair. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I
yes.
love their TikTok.
right?
Yes.
Okay, how like we just said, oh, we love their TikToks to both
Right.
Sour Patch and Ryanair, who are brands who I
Right.
don't normally say, oh wow, I love this airline company. Like never, right? I've
Mhm,
never ever
never.
said that in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever in like a culture in a fun way, like, well, they're creating
Right.
hilarious content, but it is true, you can see what brands significantly stand out because they get the
Mhm.
culture, and that is so powerful. For instance, another great example is KFC jumped on the trend with making those album covers.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Like, they had to make,
Mhm.
like, explicit album covers,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
so somebody made it in the comments saying, "Hey, KFC, you should try this trend," and they did, so they listened and did it, and it became a thing, and then they converted that video into an ad, which then was huge for them, and if you go back and find that, like, the ad video and look at the comments, people are like, "I'm going to KFC today just because
Yeah,
you guys did this trend so natively to TikTok," like, mad respects, and you just see, like, so many people are appreciating the fact that they're listening and they're wanting to be like they're wanting to create like the creators. That is so
exactly.
huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Dina, go ahead.
I was just gonna say about Ryanair that people in the comments were saying, "It's okay, I'll pay to go to the bathroom on the airplane now because you guys are entertaining me." Like if you could convert that, I think, you know, any brand can be able to convert.
100%. I mean, and a lot of the US users are like, please open up over here. Like
Mhm.
come,
Right.
like we need you. We need you. And I mean, if I was an airline company looking at that, I would be like, hey, we need to do what they're doing. Like right, and like learn from those things. But it's funny how with advertising now you have to be a little bit more bold and a little bit more risky with what you're doing, and you know, and that's what stands out because that's just who we are as a culture now. We're just, you have to be real and vulnerable and share moments that might have not seemed so professional in the past. You know,
Mhm.
for instance, one of my favorite ones with Ryanair is like they were texting back and forth and it said like my TikTok side piece or whatever,
Yeah.
and she's like, I really like you or whatever, and then it shows the airplane leaving,
Yeah.
and it says like, and then like they wrote like catch flights, not feelings, and I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
And that
I
plays
was like,
into the language too. Like you're like, oh my
yes,
gosh, I've learned like a whole new language, like catching feelings.
yes.
Yeah.
What? What? Like, yeah, I know what that means.
Is there sometimes that you have conversations with people that don't understand the language and you maybe mention something and they're like, what?
Oh, yeah. Melissa and I talk about this all the time because
Yeah.
we'll find ourselves talking to each other in language basically, and we're like, if anyone else heard this, they would think we were talking in a like Chinese or Japanese, like not understand. Like, or a lot of times we break out into song because there's
Yes,
something like there's this TikTok song trending that fits perfectly to like what we're trying to explain, and just
100%.
the song and the culture of that song on TikTok just captures the mood in a better way than even speaking about something.
Right? I was like so
Mhm.
proud of my mom because she's like starting to use TikTok more. And the other day I said something like, "Oh, no one's gonna know," and then she's like, "Nobody's gonna know.
Who's gonna know?
She'll never
Who's
know."
gonna
And
know?
I was like, "Yes, mom. Yes.
Oh,
Welcome to
that's
the
a
language. This
victory.
is
I
so
love
fun." Like,
that.
and you know, and like other people might be like, "What?"
Mhm.
Like certain
Right.
statements they say, and you almost laugh because sometimes you know, like there's certain people you meet, you're like, yeah, I know they're not TikTok people,
Mhm.
you know. So, and then you kind of just laugh inside your mind, like that goes so along with these top songs or anything like
Right.
that. Do you have kids by any chance?
No,
No.
but this
You don't?
TikTok keeps me young. That's why I love it because
Hundred
it
percent.
keeps me young. Yeah.
Yeah, because I the only reason why I was asking is like, or because I was gonna say if you compare to other parents, like for us, we have a lot of friends who are not on TikTok. Their kids are, but
Mhm.
they're just not. And I'm always telling them like, why get on there? And they're like, no, it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not. But
Right.
it when songs come on the radio or I mean, I don't listen to the radio that much anymore. But if my
Mhm.
kids are listening to it on their like Spotify or playlist, and we sing along, it just looks so cool. Or their friends are over, like our teens, their friends are over, and like a song comes on. I'm like, oh yeah, like Doja Cat, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just like, what? Like, oh, you guys are so cool. You know this song? I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh my god.
I
Yeah.
know all these songs. So it's so funny. And like when the part comes on in the car, we do this a lot. We'll listen to like sometimes we'll put on TikTok playlist because now TikTok has like their own playlist, and Sirius XM is actually dropping a TikTok radio soon coming up. They're gonna have
Wow.
their own station. Yeah, that's launching in August, and it's gonna be really fun. But when we have like TikTok radio on, just like our Apple Music, and songs come on, when it gets to the part of like that really trendy part in the TikTok, we like just belt it on those like little 15-second parts, and then we're quiet again. Like, oh, I don't know the rest of this song.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's happened to me a lot with TikTok songs. I'll realize I'll be listening to a song having no idea what it is, and then the TikTok part will come on, and
Yeah.
oh, it's this song.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I know this. Yeah.
But yeah, my whole playlist is really geared now to TikTok because I find so much music now that I never would have really found without it. And so like I think that's a huge another culture driving thing is not only just brands and things, but music is completely revolutionized because of TikTok. And it's huge. Huge.
Absolutely. And beyond music, the whole part about making musicals, like TikTok musicals,
Oh,
and the collaboration part of what music can do. We had the Ratatouille musical, Bridgerton. There's just so much opportunity for that. It's the best.
And sometimes you see the best duets, like how people come together and then just it's like a huge duet, like collaboration, and
Yeah.
they're either like created a song or just like they're a piece of
Right.
it, like they're holding a broom or something like
Yeah.
that. Just it's so funny, and I love how people are able to collaborate worldwide now. Regardless of where you are in the world, you can join somebody's like trend or idea from wherever and just collaborate. And sometimes you see some really awesome duets now. People do them with acting, even like they act out parts and singing, and there's so many new ways. And I think it's just brought the world together in so many ways. And what a perfect time TikTok, I really feel like saved us mentally in ways during COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know where I'd be without TikTok during COVID. Not in a good place.
Right?
Right.
I mean, I just thought it was so interesting. Like, again, yeah, you've got Facebook and Instagram where I select who I'm following, right? I don't just get a list of random things that I think they'll think I like, And so that was one of the biggest things that attracted me to TikTok too, was I was getting accounts from the Netherlands. I was getting a girl in Japan showing me what her quarantine looked like. And
Yes.
it was stuff that I never would have otherwise seen. It really just opened my eyes to so many new cultures, so many new countries, different ways of living. I have learned so much on this app. I mean, people joke about it all the time. Like, I've learned more on TikTok in a year than I did in like 18 years of schooling.
100%.
It's sort of true. Yeah.
It is 100% true.
Yeah. It's really opened my eyes. So many different things.
Absolutely. And just like to cultures, like you said, we used to watch things like the Olympics, and I know you guys had a recent episode about the Olympics. And I think what's really fun about that is when you watch it traditionally in your country, they do favor certain, like they only show really like pieces from your country. But TikTok, you see so many different ways. And I've never rooted for the Philippines more when, and I forget the athlete's name, when she won with like the weights and stuff. And she like she's the first one to win a gold medal for her country. And the comment section, there was a comment in there that really stood out, and it said something like, I love that, TikTok has brought us together now where we can root for people outside of our country. We're just so hyped up to see people win, regardless of where they are. So it's really helped bring us together globally versus like just being stuck in wherever you're from. And that's only what you know. Now we can like root people on from wherever they are in the world and just kind of come together and share experiences together, which is so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And besides the global aspect to it, it's like the different sports that I didn't understand watching. Like we talk about Alona Mayer, who's a women's rugby player. I had no idea. And all the comments in her videos are like, I wasn't a rugby fan. I knew nothing about rugby, but now I'm cheering you on. Now I watched the game. I was like, oh, I actually understand how rugby works. So I'm learning about this new sport, and it just having the like personal connection to someone and you're watching them, try to complete a goal is so much more meaningful than just watching and kind of not knowing who these personalities are.
Absolutely. And that right there is the truth right there, 100%. And not knowing their personality. That was before there was a huge disconnect, massive, biggest disconnect, regardless of like your traditional celebrity on TV, you only know them as their character. Who are they as a person? TikTok has filled in that gap to figure out who is that personality, because I agree. I saw a video with them, the rugby team, and I think it was, what's her name?
Sorry? Alona Mayer.
Okay, I think it was her account as well, where they were on the bed and they were like seeing like what can they do on their bed. That video was hilarious, and what that does is sharing that piece of that personality now connects people to them to want to learn more about something that they had no clue about or were not even interested in. So, like filling in that gap of that personality is now opens up your audience to learning something more. Like now, like you said, people wanting to learn more about rugby. I'm actually going to watch now because that personality related to them as a person. Like that was so relatable to all of us. Like that is so funny. We would, who wouldn't try those things or be silly or stupid? And it makes you realize, wow, they're a real person. They're a human being. They're just like me.
Exactly.
Yeah, we also spoke about a lot of the Olympians do a day in my life and they'll show what they're eating at the dining hall. And Melissa had said this, but like, we thought maybe it'd be super regimented and only like a piece of grilled chicken and vegetable. And I were so surprised because they were eating like everything from all over the place. It could be, tempura, a soup, or anything. So just even getting that little tidbit of information was so cool.
And like the traditional like NBCs or ABCs or whoever like displays those things never show the behind the scenes of what that looks like.
Never. Yeah.
And that's the stuff that everyone's so interested in. And I always teach brands and businesses this too, is like show a glimpse of what people never get to see.
Yeah.
Like show behind the scenes of what it looks like to make those commercials, or what does it look like really to make your product. And people are very curious by nature. And I think that's what's driven it as well, is we're sharing everything that encompasses this brand or yourself or your personality. And it's just so cool.
Absolutely. It is. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I can't take too much more of your time because I know all three of us probably can agree that we could sit here all day. We probably could talk for hours and hours and hours and probably have a world record podcast episode. But, and so those of you that are listening, I'm really pumped. I will have links to all the in the description notes. I'll have links to everything. So you can go follow, Melissa and Dina and find their podcast, Too Old for TikTok. I mean, my gosh, can't even talk. Too Old for TikTok. That's their podcast name. It's all going to be in the description notes. And the fun thing is I reached out to them and we're actually collaborating. So you hear them on mine. I'm actually going to become a guest on their show soon. So that's going to be really, really exciting. And I'm really, really pumped because we get to talk again about what we love.
Yeah.
So this is really fun. I thank you so much. Is there any final things that you'd like to leave with the audience today?
I will say one thing you hit on before that I was thinking of. You talked about engagement, and I was going to say like how I think, again, that's one thing that really separates TikTok from everywhere else, and that I think brands and marketers can really learn from too, is not just here's this ad, go buy our thing, But like you've mentioned, actually looking at how's the audience responding to this? What are their comments? What are they doing on TikTok? How can we get involved with it? I think putting like the customer first, putting the audience first, and then building an idea around that is just, that's the way to go. And I love, like you hit on that, and it just really got me thinking more and more how that is TikTok in a nutshell. It's more about what's everybody else creating and how can I contribute versus just like, here's my thing, you know, in a void. Yeah. So
exactly. Awesome. I love that. That's a great final tip. I mean, don't create content that you think works. No, figure out what actually is working and then create based off of that. That's so huge. And that's where I think we'll see people succeed. And if they don't, doesn't matter how big you are, you'll start losing that credibility with the community because somebody else will come in and take your spot. So yeah. No, that's awesome. What, Dina, do you have any last final things or anything you want to mention?
Yeah, one last thing, and I think we had a guest, her name is Zarna Garg. She's an amazing comedian, and she said, you know, TikTok is really the new Netflix. And in my own experience, I find myself watching way more hours of TikTok than Netflix or TV or movies. So just for the future, I think that's really where it's headed. And I'm so excited to see what happens and what the future holds for it. And thank you so much for having us on. And we're excited to have you come on ours too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Those of you that are listening, I really am so grateful for all of you that are listening today. If it's your first time, welcome to the show. And please, I have 56 other episodes for you to go back and listen to learn more from. And, again, join us on the communities. Come find myself, come find Melissa and Dina on their socials, which I'll have all the links, and drop us a comment if you've come from this podcast and be involved. We'd love to hear from you and love to help inspire you to, jump on board TikTok or answer any questions you have. So thank you everyone for listening in today.